Okay, well, welcome to the Node.js Next 10 meeting for March 19th, 2025. Before we get started, is there anything that any announcements or anything like that that people would like to make?
Nope.
Okay, so I'm just going to put in the chat. Here is the link to the agenda. If people can add themselves as attendees, that would be great. So funding for the Node.js project status updates. That one, we're actually just now waiting for feedback from the foundation or board in terms of what we're allowed to do. I guess not as clear on that front as I thought, so we're just waiting to hear her back what kind of funding we can or can't do, or how we might do it. Okay, so the next one is the 2025 survey. That one, I know there was some work on questions and stuff. I don't know, Marco, do you have any insight on that or?
Not really.
Okay, in terms of
Uh,
anything we need to do before the collaborator summit, is there anything we need to prioritize or are we?
so I remember last meeting we started to work on the
Yep.
questions to ask. So I think we should just continue to
Right, okay,
work
I
on
think,
that.
okay. So maybe if I'm remembering, we said like, let's try and spend the bulk of the meeting continuing to do that this week, and then we can see where we are, right? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so let's kind of quickly go through other things then. Um, I think ambassador program, message and topics, we just sort of waiting until after next collapse summit. So,
Oh, we need to onboard Eric.
right. I saw you where
Yeah.
you'd sent some times. I forget exactly where it is, but
Yeah, like last week I was traveling, and then also this week I will
yeah,
be traveling, so we should schedule for next week.
sounds good. I think I'm out. So next week is okay. The week after I'm gone the last couple days, but yeah, next week should be good.
Okay.
Okay. Um, I'm looking at one so that we can quickly get through. So we'll come back to the 2025 survey. So the set of base questions for collaborators. Um, I don't know if people have had a chance to look at those, but they're kind of like, you know, base information we could use to help promote collaborators.
I have
They
not
all
looked at
look
it.
reasonable to me. I don't know here's the actual poll request. It's just a typo suggested in here, but
Ah, here we are.
so unless people have thoughts whether we should discuss or whatever, we'll move on to the next topic.
There'll be a session for this at the summit in a couple of weeks.
This is different questions, right? Like the session is focused around the broader ecosystem survey.
Oh, okay.
I think these questions were more about like the idea was like let's get people to answer some things about themselves and then we can use that to promote like, hey, here's a collaborator kind of thing, right? What they're
Okay.
doing.
This
Oh,
is
go
possibly
ahead.
related then
Yep.
to the Pokemon card thing. Is this
Yes,
the information that's supposed to feed into that?
I think it would be a source for that for sure.
Okay.
So like if there's
Um,
things that you're like, hey, we would need this, then that would be the kind of thing that we should add
okay.
to the list.
Um, then do we mind if I jump the
Yeah,
queue
no, go for
so
it.
that we can
Yep.
go? Okay. So I was playing around with this. How they keep changing things. How do I share?
There's a green
Oh,
button in the middle, I
yes.
think.
Okay. So I was playing around with some stuff. And I was thinking that we could do a couple things, like some fun stuff and some um, more like informative type stuff. Um, So this is a rough draft of what it could
Yep.
look like. It would have more patterns and things like that. So I was thinking that we could ask, like, I don't know, 5 to 6 questions for stuff that can be used towards this. And then just to mix it up so not all the cards are the same and stuff. Um, and then take the most interesting type stuff. Um, and try to hopefully the people can make it kind of like fun and stuff so that they can supply their own. So like cards, their moves and things have like really
Yep.
silly names. So like Atomic Spawn, stuff like that. Um, like normally, maybe this is getting too um, nerdy about it. But normally, like Pokemon's and cards and stuff have like hit points and level and stuff. I was thinking we could derive those numbers based on stuff that people actually do. So for instance, like 68, I've been working on Node.js for 68 months. And I've had 34 commits in the in Node. Um, but I didn't want it to be like exclusively code-based things because we've talked about previously that there's more to contributing than just code.
Yeah.
But I don't know what kinds of data we could use for that.
I guess my first question on that front is like, is that worth it? Versus like, there's always some risk that like somebody's like, well, why are you level 35 and I'm level 33, right? Like anything that like could lead to some, well, I'm not being appreciated. I kind of see like, is it worth, there's a benefit trade-off there, right? Like, and
Yes.
versus just saying like, hey, we'll give you 100 points and you can distribute them however you want, right?
Yeah, sure, we could do that.
Yeah, I don't, that's kind of or that was just my first thing is like, let's avoid anything that might have a chance of like being somebody doing a comparison that then they're like not happy with or,
Mm. Yeah, I think that was one of the challenges of like
yeah,
specifically about the like the level kind of thing. Um, because then like what counts? Um,
right,
but I was thinking like these numbers are absolutely arbitrary. So for instance, like um, these uh, JS logos on Pokemon cards, it's like
yep,
the amount of stuff it costs to do the thing, and
right,
then this is like the effect of it. So like this particular feature that I worked on took ages and ages and ages, but it's like the utility that it actually ended up bringing was not as much as it could have been. So it's like a little bit of a joke that like this costs a lot, but then it didn't deliver as much. But like people don't have to do it that way, just as an
right.
example of so yeah, I was thinking these would be entirely arbitrary and then these would be derived based on something else, but we can also make them part of like a distributed thing.
Yeah, I don't know what other people think. That was just my one, like, just the avoid anything where, some people might feel like, oh, like, I guess are those used to battle normally, the different things or,
The level, I think, on a Pokemon card has no effect whatsoever.
right.
The HP does, and these numbers do, and these things do, because like uh, this is like you only have so many of these
But
cards,
I,
and then
I I don't
you
think
consume them.
every card has levels. I don't think they
Um,
do have levels. I think they have just HP and
they do because I was looking at a Pokemon card when I was putting this together.
some cards are special because they are like level 100, and some like there are some cards that like the level means something, but generally cards don't have levels, except some
Oh,
like
okay.
Here's an
special one.
example I just Googled.
Normally they don't.
It basically has HP 190.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at Mewtwo and Pikachu.
Yeah, usually don't have level. Like I play Pokemon Pocket, like the digital one,
Hmm.
and like usually they don't just have HP, they don't have levels. There are some cards that have levels because they are like special edition, like uh referencing stuff from the anime,
Hmm.
but generally they don't.
Oh, okay. Well, we can take that out.
And I'd almost be for like if we even for like the other sections, like if we just picked like 10, you could say like build, you could say core, you could say whatever, and just like had a standard entry for those, like rather than saying like, ah, I'm 100 build and somebody's 50 build, right? Like we just had like build cost 3 and the impact is 54. And so like you choose, well, I'm gonna put, am I involved in build or not, right? Like we have a smaller set that people can choose from. And like the idea is like, hey, I got this interesting card, my picture's there. It highlights kind of my interest areas. So like, test is a good one where it's like, but we would just possibly have a standard test entry, which is, or I don't know, like maybe we just don't even have the like, because as soon as you get in the difficulty, it's like, well, are we saying that test is harder than something else, or like, I don't know, right? Like I just imagine like those things are not what we're really trying to achieve. What we're trying to achieve is kind of like, hey, here's the person, and here's
Hmm.
what they're interested in, right? And like I
Well,
could
I was.
see like the hey, since so many years or something, like because that's just
Mhm.
an arbitrary number that like it's not necessarily, but even that one. And then these ones could be like more you're trying to identify like, hey, yeah, I'm involved in this or that. And
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I was expecting these to be not too serious.
yeah,
These things here. So like they don't they don't matter for anything.
I know, but I'm just sort of like they don't matter, so why have them is kind of my, there's always I'm too conservative perhaps, but like if something can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Mm.
Right. And like so we could just say like, hey, yeah, you got 100 points and you can distribute them, but like does that add like how much does that add to the card versus like, yeah, we've got some core areas and like, hey, yeah, so I'm involved in these different core areas and
Oh,
So like,
like we could, like if you want to make it fair, you could take like you have a maximum of 200 points and you can distribute because like usually moves also have like points associated with them. You can say you have 200 points, you distribute them as you please.
mm,
So like if you want to put them in HP, you want to put them onto something,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you can just distribute them as you wish, and then it would be like nobody has more points than anybody
yeah,
else, but they're just distributed different. That's it.
yeah, that's I think that would be okay too, right? Like it's
Okay. Um, so like since we were talking about possibly doing the like how long someone has been at, um, if we want to have level, or maybe we could put it something else, we could use that. Like right now I have 68 as my hit points, but that's the number of months that I've been at in Node. We could change it to here, or we could just say like sometimes on Pokemon cards they have like um, meta information about them here. So we could say like start date kind of thing.
yeah, I don't know whether that helps or I don't know what other people think if there's any concern with like start date or
I think it would be interesting because like there are some people that have been working on the Node project for ages and ages and ages. But it's like I don't know when they started. I just know it's been forever. So it would be kind of cool to see that and be like, oh, holy crap.
Yeah, no, like nobody else. I think start date like would be very explicit, right? So that just says like, here's the date you joined the org,
Yeah,
and it's not a level or it doesn't, it's just a fact.
yeah, exactly.
So I
Okay.
wonder if at this point this could be just generated from GitHub, like information. You can just like grab like you out generate the whole thing from GitHub, and like you like it's a service. You put your username in, and boom, gets
Mhm.
your card, and you can share it. And so that's fair, and it's like you don't get to choose, and you cannot say, oh, but this and that. Like it's auto generated.
I
We
guess it would,
could.
how would the imports and like how would those things be generated? Would it be
Yeah, so like we could do like most common subsystem that you commit to or something like that. But then yeah, I don't think we would have
This is
quite these.
something AI is usually very good at. Like you can say
right? Okay.
this is info. Give me three moves that blah blah blah. You give the right prompt, and AI can do this for you. Ways.
Okay, I can look into that. That's a good idea.
And that's actually like, maybe you get a few attempts or something, right? And it's like, hey, look what I ended up with, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay. That would be interesting to see how like we could do it, we could generate it for us, see how
Hmm.
it turns out, and then we can see like, yeah, maybe they'll just be totally silly, whatever, and like the numbers you can't argue with because they were just AI generated or whatever. And yeah, okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Good discussion on ideas. So we've covered that. I think like corporate Node.js user stories, I think I'm going to say nothing new this week. Um, I don't think there's anything to discuss on the perf and diagnostics, just trying to get us back to being able to spend time on the questions for the survey. Um, um, in terms of the collaborator summit and the next 10 sessions, I think I've seen those being submitted. And is this one open? Let's see, improving the collaborator experience. I'm sorry, I'm just going, yeah. So it's actually there. So I'm going to change that to submitted. I think at this point we could say we're basically on track and there's not really anything to do. Should we close this issue? Or is there still like I see the collaborator Pokemon cards? I don't think that necessarily needs to be tied to the summit itself, but
Yeah, I agree.
um, otherwise, I think we could probably close this one. Like we've submitted the sessions, should be good to go. Anything else we should do before we close it out? I'm going to try and
Sounds good.
attend some of them virtually, and I think it sounds like we're going to have good number of people here there, which is good. So, okay, closed it out. Um, Now let's see. Back, okay. Submissions, main, close, issue. So there's proposal number 334. So I'm just opening that to see.
Oh, that's the collaborator track mentorship program.
Right, okay.
I don't know if we need to talk about it. Just that was one of my action items from.
Yep. And I guess you're gonna get some feedback on that at the collaborator summit as well, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering. I don't think it necessarily needs a full session. maybe I can just like present it. I can't remember. Do we have um like brief sessions? Like,
You submitted a updates one,
mhm.
right? Which I think was intended to be, a number of smaller updates.
Yeah, but that's one that's supposed to just be um a broadcast, not any kind of discussion. Just
Okay. Because I was thinking otherwise this would be a, one where it's like you can give an update on it and see any feedback.
mm,
Because like
um
it's just an opportunity to get more live
mhm.
interaction / discussion, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um,
Let me see.
but
I
I
think there
do
is an option. Go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, I'm not sure you need a full hour, although it depends what kind of thoughts people have and
Ah, you can ask for a specific amount of time. So maybe I'll ask for like 15 minutes or something.
okay.
Okay, cool.
So maybe I'll just take a note that here in the minutes, oops, back. Just so we have that here. Okay, actually, I'll just put it here. You're going to submit a shorter session to the Collaborator Summit.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Because I think it really needs that broader like feedback to say like, hey, some people are interested or no, like or whatever.
Hmm.
Give us a better sort of feel for how easy or hard it would be to move forward.
Cool.
Okay, so I think that takes us down to the last one being the 2025 survey. So trying to remember, I think somebody had the PR open last time. Can't remember how we did that. I guess I took some notes. I'm happy to do that again, or if somebody else would like to take some notes.
Sorry, take notes on what?
Just like we're gonna like in real time edit and make suggestions on the survey itself.
I think last time it was Jean was doing it.
Okay, I just see that I have a bunch of comments on it. Maybe I made those some other time. But it was exactly 2 weeks ago, so that's why I have some feeling
All
that
right,
in
so
the
yeah, maybe it was you.
yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying, does anybody else want to volunteer? Otherwise, I can do it. I don't mind, but okay.
I,
I'm just going to share then, and we can get started. So it looks like we got to here where we broke out. Like, let's ask more specifically on the different front end, back end, full stack. So are you part of an organization with investments in Node.js?
Uh,
This one is
yeah, we should get the like check if this was actually included in the survey because not all of them were. Like there
right.
was a discrepancy between.
Yeah, we can figure that out right now. It's 10.
There was an employment related question I wanted to revisit that was a bit further up too, but we can get
Okay,
there.
go back there. So let me, oops. Actually, in this, I think we really want to look at the results because although it's a little harder to say it's not there than it is there. Let's look at what was the previous question. Are you part of an organization with direct investment? That one sounds familiar. Or
Can
maybe
you
not.
search the command F?
Remember that one.
Not online so easily, I don't think. I can download it though. Not sure. Oh, it did pop up here. Okay. So now I should be able to better search. Are you part of? That one I don't see. Let's try investments. Okay, well, we have this organization with investments in Node.js. So yeah, so this is but I guess the suggestion here was to break it out into a separate question. Because I think before it was actually part of this list. If we look here, we had these.
Yeah, we decided to split one of them into multiple.
Right, we wanted to split these, the green, the yellow.
Yeah.
But also it seems like this one was split out. Are you organization with investments in Node.js? So, because in here it seems to say we've got this question, which groups do you identify with? And then separately, it's got, are you part of an organization with investments in Node.js? Versus that being one of the options in the list.
Like, do we want to keep this question? Are you part of an organization with investments in Node.js? Like, I don't understand what it means.
I think what it is that like from our stakeholders, this is our list of stakeholders. So that's why we included it. So maybe, yeah, if we don't understand, like if we don't have a good understanding of what that actually is, it might be worth refactoring that list as well. But that doesn't, we can do that separately from what we want to actually have in here in the survey.
I mean, we know the user that is answering the survey. We know if his organization is one of them. We could just ask them if his organization is investing.
Right, and I think that's what this question does, right? It says, are you part of an organization with investments? So,
but what does investment mean?
Founding.
Like they sponsor you to sponsor your time, they give money.
I think it could mean a whole bunch of different things, but like, are they actually spending money or resource? Are they expending resources in Node.js? But like, again, that is pretty vague. And
that needs to be. I think we need to put that in the question specifically.
Well, what if the
we should
are
reward
options?
this one.
yeah.
What if the answers are options? Like, which of the following does your organization do? And then like multiple choice, sponsors your time, donates money to the project, blah, 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 blah.
No, that's an interesting question. So like, so it could be if your organization invests in
Well, maybe
Node.js.
we don't need to say if. We could say that could be one of the options, like other and organization does not invest.
Sure, yeah, okay. How does your invest in JS? So like,
Yeah.
okay, and what are ideas for the
Like
options?
sponsors your time, donates money, hosts events or something, or like sponsors events.
Other and none.
Yeah, okay, right. Other.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Yep. None.
None.
Contribute member is member of OpenJS Foundation. Sponsors Node.js directly. I don't know. Sponsors JavaScript packages in the ecosystem through crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Sponsor time of, let's see. Through crowdfunding.
Should we say, like, give an example of like GitHub sponsor kind of thing? Because people might not know what crowdfunding is. They think of it as like a GoFundMe.
How about that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would say like EX or EG. Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. And are we in the Node.js project? Should we even ask about this JavaScript packages part? Like, I guess it's because then it's like we could get into a bunch of other, like, how else does it Java, part member, sponsoring your time in the some other project, or those things would also be other options, right?
That could be interesting to know. Like if we have a whole bunch of people who are responding to
Yeah,
the survey and they have a bunch of organizations are sponsoring other things, why aren't they sponsoring us?
that could be
Cool.
yeah, actually that kind of makes it a little more symmetrical in terms of and I
For the
think, like,
question, just immediately
sorry,
after the question mark, can you just add like select all that apply? Because these aren't all
yeah,
mutually exclusive, are they?
yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna say up the front, select all that apply. And I think there's gonna be like you could invest in, develops and deploys Node.js based applications, right? Or solutions, Node.js based.
Is that
How is
an
that
investment though?
investing?
Well, it's like they invest not in Node, but they invest in using it, right? Like if I was a business and said, somebody, how do you invest in Node.js? They'd be like, well, I pay a team who's developing applications using it, right?
That doesn't sound
Then
like
the
an investment though.
yeah, I agree. That doesn't sound right.
Okay, so it's more in the the
Project.
ecosystem project. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So specifically we want to, yeah. Okay. So that makes sense then.
And I would like also add the links to GitHub sponsors or open collectives. So like
In case you didn't know this existed, here you
yeah.
go.
Sponsor sites. Okay. Um, right. So then it's like, well, asking about, so I think we might in the Node.js project or JavaScript related projects.
This seems like a different question.
Right, I'm just like, one of your options is sponsor your time to work in JavaScript projects other than Node.js. So like if that's one of the selections, how does that fit with, do you invest in the
Oh,
Node.js?
that's true.
So we can either like narrow the question or remove some of the options.
Well, we could remove from the question itself, how does your organization invest in JavaScript related projects? And Node is a JavaScript related project. So then we can keep um, the options as they are.
Right, so that would be, that's a shorter version that covers it, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, sponsors time to work in the project, sponsors time to work in the JavaScript projects. Through crowdfunding. Sponsors your time to work in JavaScript, okay. Okay, I guess I have that one twice then. Right.
Oh,
I guess I might just switch this to other. Okay. Paste. And then none, just and then so basically also we want this response other is open-ended, right?
yeah.
If I think if the question is select all that applies, then we can remove the none option, right?
I think the none makes it easy for people to just click on something.
Yeah. And also that we know that they didn't choose to skip the question, which, like from a statistic standpoint, you have to handle differently.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there was no other. It's okay. So I did that. Any other? I guess maybe I should edit that with the capitalization. Any other comments, suggestions on that one before we move to the next one? Okay, then we have, what is your use cases of Node.js? So in this case, it was, what is your primary use case? And client testing.
In the question itself, it says, in the Markdown document, it says, what is your use cases?
Yeah.
It should be, what are your use cases?
Right, I'm just like, and even like the question last time was, what is your primary use case? I guess we want to make it more general this time to say like,
How do you
for
use
all
it?
the
Yeah.
different ones, right? Okay.
Yeah.
As usual, we should have it that like other answers and fill the missing question.
Mhm.
What are your use cases for Node.js? And I think if we look at this one, other was about 4%. So yeah, let's go back to use cases. I have to download that too, because nope, it's the wrong one. Oh, maybe not. Use case. Where's my other? Okay, sorry. I thought I was trying to get this.
You did not download this one file.
Download. Okay. Nope, I'm still okay. Maybe. Okay, I probably shouldn't share that. This is definitely okay. So I'm just trying to get it now into the. Use case. Which question was that? Let's keep going. Okay, so this is the primary use case. So all of the above. I guess the multi-select would cover that. Just yell if you see one that we don't think we've covered. I guess full stack is one that we don't have there. That one we should add. What do people think?
Well, isn't that deploying a front-end application? Because Next.js is sort of full stack.
It's kind of both. I mean, it's both back end and front end. So you could say, full stack, you check, I'm building static front end applications or front end applications, and I check one of these API ones. But just
Yeah,
looking
I'm
at our
thinking maybe.
written.
So I think the
last result.
building static is like people did not really understand it.
Okay.
Because we would have expected to like, yeah, I'm building, I don't know, like whatever, and they would say building static front end application. So I think we should stick like you use it like as like tooling for running and like front end application, and then like full stack applications like Next.js. These are more full stack because you have like front end.
Okay.
Like you do front end only, or you do full stack.
Mm.
That would be probably more understandable.
Or you do back end, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically we can try and change this to be. You're going to say, so like tooling. Something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Marco, does that seem like, does that trigger the right understanding for you too?
Yes.
Okay. I'll add that in.
When it says
Is
proxy,
there
go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just asking if there is anything else from others that we also we should add.
Look there.
Yeah, proxy, I think it's one of the use cases where Node is used. A lot of people use Node for proxies.
Okay, so you think add that in? Let's see.
It's already in there.
Okay.
So just
Oh,
below.
right, yeah, proxy other, we got that down there, right? Yeah, okay.
I'm just wondering if we should be more specific because when I first saw proxy, I was thinking the proxy like constructor object kind of thing.
We could
Maybe
say
that's just me.
HTTP proxy.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Should we say like proxy / gateway?
I think proxy is good enough.
Like you wouldn't change it to HTTP proxy, you just leave it proxy?
No, HTTP proxy is fine, but
Oh, okay,
gateway
cool.
is not.
Okay.
Gateway is a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm looking now in there's a bunch of full stack ones. That was probably the biggest. I mean, IoT was a couple of mentions.
I mean, it's like it would not be bad to add IoT. I know there is a thing called Node-RED for that, but
Sure, yeah, okay. So
But like how there's a bunch of different things you can do with IoT. Like there's like the AWS suite for IoT things. So
I mean,
it's like
you
a whole,
run on it like you run then on edge devices because everything else would be like, is it a backend? Is it a proxy, or it's running on edge? Like the running on
oh,
edge
like
thing is.
an embedded kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Node-RED does basically.
the thing, it's interesting because then you could get into like serverless. Like IoT is maybe in the closer class of serverless than some of these other things, but
Is it?
serverless is like a platform. I guess no, maybe this falls, well, like you could argue that like IoT Edge, it's the same, you use backend services, you build a front end app, you do it all the same. Maybe not though. Like
Yeah, but you interact with hardware, which like as a backend service, you usually don't like. Yeah, like you don't interact with specific hardware like sensors and this kind of stuff.
True.
So
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting number. So like
yeah,
I'm good adding it. I have no objection. Just was like exploring like, does it mean we should pull in some other things? But like, so that's a good
Do we
one.
specifically have
Go ahead.
serverless?
I think we have it in another question for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's see. Serverless. Well,
Yeah,
actually,
okay.
we already have it in this question where we specifically said developing APIs with serverless, right? So
Okay.
so no, good. Okay, we've already that also says like we've already asked something very similar, so it totally fits
Cool.
in. I'm just looking at, I mean, somebody mentioned Cordova. So that's actually maybe one that we haven't, like, things built with Electron and solutions like that.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of
So
like
it's like
other,
desktop application.
Yeah.
yeah. So we could build, like, we could put that underneath here, like full stack, desktop applications, implementing. Something like that.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good one that we didn't have there.
How about mobile application?
Sorry, go ahead.
How about mobile application?
Mobile applications. Okay, yep. No, that's let me.
How?
So
Can you
that's a bit different
embed
as well.
Node in a mobile application?
I mean, you can run Node on Android.
Does anybody do that though?
It's it's one of the experimental tier builds of Node. So somebody does it for sure. I don't know how popular that is, but it has been done in
okay.
the past.
Sure. Okay then.
I also think there's like approaches where like you might serve progressive applications with that node in the back end. So kind of hey, it's like for mobile, it's a little bit like, hey, I'm using it with serverless. It's kind of interesting, or IT or. Okay. I need a few minutes before my next call, so I need to drop off, but I could give it ownership to somebody else we do have.
I need to drop too
Okay.
before the TSC meeting, so
Perfect.
I think we can.
Okay, so why don't we call it for today? And I don't know, like our goal was to get through as much of this as possible and then decide if we needed another more specific meeting. We still have a little ways to go, but so I think Marco, you're leading this session, or?
Yeah.
So I'd look to you to say, like, should we schedule like a meeting beforehand to continue, or are you comfortable
No, I think next week we should schedule a meeting 1 hour to like go through this and present this to.
Okay. And if I look, the TSC meeting is at the same time next week. Can people do 1 hour earlier? Or 1 hour later? I guess 1 hour later conflicts with the TypeScript meeting, so we couldn't do it then.
Right. So this is next Wednesday.
Yeah.
1 hour 1 hour before TSC meeting would be perfect for me.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. I will put something in the calendar for that then. So
cool.
Okay. Talk to y'all later.
Okay.
See you soon. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.